Are you here? You know, being here is the prerequisite to listening to the Paul Leslie Hour. Welcome! If you like music, this episode is more than just an interview. It's also got some fantastic unplugged musical performances. This show's from our archives with Jake Shimabukuro, and it's gonna be a treat. This was originally broadcast on radio and is now available to you on YouTube, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and all platforms. Now, this interview with musical performances was recorded in celebration of the release of Jake Shimabukuro's album entitled Live, Jake Shimabukuro. Who's Jake? Well, Jake is an ukulele virtuoso. He's too humble to admit it, but Jake Shimabukuro is perhaps one of the most talented ukulele players in the world. His albums have sold in the hundreds of thousands, and his style shows an influence ranging from jazz to flamenco. Jake Shimabukuro began playing the ukulele at 4 years of age and has gone on to be one of Hawaii's most respected musicians. Jake's performed in front of multitudes of fans in Japan, Hawaii, across the USA, and the Caribbean. He's toured with Bella Fleck and the Flecktones, and he's a frequent guest of Jimmy Buffett and the Coral Reefer Band. Hey, we're just about to get the show going, but would like to quickly remind you that we have many more episodes like this that need to get out there. And you can support independent media and give to yourself and to others the gift of stories. Just go to www.thepaulleslie.com/support. And we thank you. And with that, hey, let's all have a good time listening together. This is Jake Shimabukuro. Enjoy the show.
No, my bad. Okay.
It is a pleasure for the second time to welcome ukulele virtuoso, Mr. Jake Shimabukuro, to our show. Thank you very much for talking with us.
Oh, no, thanks for your time. It's great to see you again.
But also playing a few songs for the listeners at home.
All right. Well, I like to start off with this tune. It's an original piece that was inspired by listening to a lot of flamenco and Spanish guitar music. It's a piece entitled Let's Dance. It goes something like this.
Wow, that was nice.
Thank you.
I've been listening to a lot of flamenco music lately, so that was really a treat to hear.
Oh, thanks, man.
A lot has been going on since the last time we talked a few years ago. I was wondering, what do you attribute your success to?
Well, I've been very fortunate, very lucky to, recently I've had a lot of, great opportunities. Recently I've been touring with Jimmy Buffett. That's been incredible. There's a little video clip of me playing on YouTube, that's been getting a lot of downloads and hits. That's been just wonderful. I mean, it's allowed me to tour and to travel to places and play in cities that I'd never been to before. So that's been exposing what I do to a lot of people. So I'm very thankful and grateful for that. Also along the way, being able to perform and collaborate, with musicians like Bela Fleck and the Flecktones. They've been heroes of mine for a long time. And it's just a lot of these opportunities, that have been coming up, through people, supporting, what we do. And I really, and I really acknowledge, I really want to give, all the credit, to my management and, the record label, our record label, Sony Music, and, our booking agent, APA, all of them, they've been working so hard. They believe a lot in, they believe in what I do, and they continue to, promote my music and things like that. And it's been a real blessing, to have wonderful people to work with, that believe in the music, and so I'm very blessed for that.
I wanted to ask you who your musical influences are.
Oh man, there's pretty much everyone, and anything that everything that I listened to, growing up, especially people that like friends and musicians that I perform with, of course, but and they're constantly turning me on to CDs. My publicist, Michael Bloom, he's constantly sharing different albums with me and saying, "Oh, Jake, you got to listen to this. Oh, you got to check this guy out." Where I was talking about music, and so that's really great. It's great to have people around you that are just as excited about music as you are, and so I pretty much draw inspiration from everything, whatever I hear on the radio. If it's, live music, I love live music, of course. But it doesn't even have to be music. It could be, like just athletes, certain athletes are very inspiring, and, you observe their commitment, and the discipline that they have, their focus, all of that, can be applied to playing an instrument. Bruce Lee was one of my heroes for a long time. Just his philosophy, the way that he went about approaching, martial arts. I applied a lot of his philosophy to my instrument and just my approach to the ukulele.
Some people sometimes think of the ukulele as a novelty, and I said the word wrong throughout the first time we did an interview with you, but it's actually pronounced ukulele, right?
Yeah, well, it's actually ukulele.
Ukulele.
Yeah.
So, okay, I'll try to remember now. But you've shown what an amazing instrument it is. What is it that you were trying to accomplish with the uke as a musician?
Not really trying to accomplish anything. I mean, I'm a big fan of music, and the ukulele was the instrument that we had. Well, it was the only instrument that I had growing up, and I would turn on the radio, and it didn't matter what was playing. It could be a rock tune or a pop tune or a classical piece or whatever it was. I would just listen, and I'd sit there with my uke and try to pluck out the melody. And I realized, at a pretty early age that even with the ukulele, you have a very limited range. You basically have 4 strings, but your lowest string is actually your 3rd string. So your range is like a 3-string instrument almost. And my lowest note is middle C, like middle C on the piano, and I have 1 C above that and another C above that. So I'm basically working with 2 octaves, and which is the equivalent to like a little toy piano, for a kid. And it's it's very challenging, but you realize that you have all the same notes as the guitar or the piano. Not the same kind of range, but you have the exact same notes. So if you're playing a melody or a tune, of course you have to, a lot of times, you have to transpose it into a key that works for your instrument, or you have to take certain lines and play it down an octave, or take certain lines and play it up an octave. But you can get the right notes in there where if you play it, the melody will be familiar. It'll be recognizable to the listener. So if I'm taking like a classical theme or a jazz theme, or even playing like a little rock lick, like a Jimi Hendrix thing, but you just pick out those right notes, people recognize it as that song, or, oh, that's a Led Zeppelin tune, or, oh, that's a classical, like a piano sonata or whatever it is, and you just play a little bit of it, and then people automatically associate those notes with a certain song or a certain genre of music. And then that's when people start, thinking like, wow, that's an ukulele. I didn't know the ukulele could play that kind of music or could play this or whatever. But, all it is just a series of notes, that you're putting together. And that's what makes it fun.
You're really showing, though, that you can do an amazing thing with the ukulele. And I know I didn't say it right that time either, but I'll call it a uke from now on. Thanks to the internet and television shows like Conan O'Brien, and then musicians like Jimmy Buffett, who you've been playing with, and Bella Fleck and the Flecktones, you've gotten a lot of good publicity, and no doubt you've gained a lot of new fans. What have you found a typical fan of yours to be like?
I don't know. I mean, whenever I do shows, and whenever I have a concert, I just try to have fun. I try to make it fun for myself and make it fun for the audience. I always want people to walk away from a show smiling or feeling good, because I believe that music is healing, and music brings people together. So that's all I try to do. Whenever I'm performing, is I just try to communicate. I try to reach out to whoever wants to listen, and it's that constant communication, between the artist and the audience, and I found that in live performance, the audience is, the audience plays such a huge role in the performance. It's almost like even though I perform solo, as a soloist, I don't really feel like I'm playing solo, because I feel like the audience is they're part of the music, they're part of the band. And so if I'm playing in a 150 seater or a 2,000 seat, like concert hall, that's how large the orchestra is, for me. I mean, because every single person in the audience is plays a vital role in that performance and the creation of the music. So their energy, their reaction to the music, how they interact, how involved they choose to be. It's just like playing in a band. You could have 10 musicians on stage, and each one of them has a choice to make. They can choose how involved they want to be in the music and the creation of the art or whatever is happening. And sometimes you'll get players that all play together and they're so in tune with each other and they're feeding off of each other's energy and reacting to what the other person's playing and so forth. And then you can have musicians, a band that's put together, but maybe the guitar player might kind of be thinking about something else, so he might be playing the right chords and stuff, but just his mind is completely elsewhere. So it's the same thing. It's the same thing for the audience. Each person in the audience has the choice to make. They can be fully involved and committed to this 1.5 hour or 2 hour music performance, or they can just be sitting there and then thinking about something else. And you can feel it as a performer or as a whole, with the audience. I mean, you can feel the entire performance as if everybody in the room was totally there with you, or if there were a couple of people kind of doing their own thing. I mean, you try to make yourself as sensitive and aware of that as possible.
A lot of people are calling you the greatest ukulele player. And in fact, if you go on Google.com and you put in greatest ukulele player in quote marks, the first few pages go to you. So I was wondering, who do you believe out there are truly the greats in uke playing?
Oh, I mean, there's so many. I mean, my favorite ukulele player is Eddie Kamae. He was, to me, well, he's recognized as like the first ukulele virtuoso. He, back in the 50s, he formed a band called the Sons of Hawaii. And the Sons of Hawaii band was, I mean, they totally reinvented Hawaiian music. Hawaiian music as we know it today, I mean, it was because of Eddie Kamae and Gabby Pahinui and these guys that formed the Sons of Hawaii. And, he was just an amazing musician. When he played the ukulele, it was, I mean, there's no doubt that was who he is. That was his instrument. When I think of Eddie Kamae, I think of, I think of artists like Carlos Santana or B.B. King or Miles Davis, and not that he plays that kind of music or he plays like them, but his spirit was in the same place. Like when you listen to players like that, it doesn't matter like really what notes they're playing or or what licks they're playing or how they or how cool that sounds or the way they reharmonize certain things or whatever. That all that stuff doesn't matter. It's sincere. It's pure. I mean, they play who they are. Who they really are. They're not trying to be like anyone else or not trying to sound like anyone else. And it's totally from the heart, from the soul. And Eddie Kamae was that kind of musician. He, until this day, he plays he plays Eddie Kamae, and I think after hearing him and growing up with his music, and then listening to other musicians like that, guys like Bela Fleck, guys like Pat Metheny, you get so inspired, or even not. It doesn't even have to be musicians. Like, again, I was talking about Bruce Lee earlier. Bruce Lee, he was so true to himself. And another one of my favorites was Bill Cosby. Bill Cosby was another hero of mine. Like when they're up on stage and they're doing their thing, they're not trying to be like anyone else. They're just themselves, and they're so comfortable with it. They're so accepting of it. And everything they do becomes very honest, very sincere, truthful, and you feel that in the music. That's what inspires people. It inspires me, and that's always what I strive for.
I was hoping you could tell us, every artist has a song that they are known for. So what would you say is your song?
Well, recently the song that people have been requesting, or like whenever I do shows, or the song that I think people get really excited about is the song that was that I played on a YouTube video clip. It was George Harrison's "While My Guitar Gently Weeps," and that's my all-time favorite song to play on the ukulele. And George Harrison was one of my heroes. I mean, he's another musician who was just very real and very, true to who he was. I never met him, but just from the stories that I've heard from people, and I did get to meet Olivia Harrison, and talk with her a bit, and just from her stories and things that I've read about him, and also just, of course, by listening to his music, the songs that he wrote, and the way that he played them, you really feel that, wow, yeah, he's a very down-to-earth, sincere, very real person, who's true to himself, very balanced. And so so naturally I enjoyed covering a lot of his tunes, just because he was an ukulele player. He was a real ukulele enthusiast. He loved the instrument, and I'd always work on arrangements of his songs, tunes like Something, or Here Comes the Sun, While My Guitar Gently Weeps. It's just one of my favorites, of all time. That and Something, so it was playing that song. It was actually for an ukulele show called Ukulele Disco, and after it appeared on that TV show, I guess that a clip of me playing that in Central playing, we recorded it in New York in Central Park, and so that a clip of me playing While My Guitar Gently Weeps somehow got on YouTube, and and there were quite a few people who I guess got excited about that arrangement, and I got a bunch of emails and comments, from people saying, how much they enjoyed that arrangement. So yeah, it was it felt good to get such nice positive remarks from people and comments.
Well, maybe you'd like to play the song While My
Sure.
Guitar Gently Weeps for all the listeners. Wow. You played that beautifully.
Oh, thank you very much.
I feel very fortunate to be getting this little private concert. So I was hoping you could tell us where you were born and a little bit about your heritage.
I was born in Honolulu, Hawaii.
Wonderful place.
Oh yeah, it is very, very beautiful. And I'm a fifth generation, Japanese American. I don't know. Not very interesting. I have let's see. I have a younger brother. His name is Bruce, and I named him after Bruce Lee. He's also a musician. He's an incredible ukulele player, and he also plays guitar. He has a school actually in Hawaii where he teaches, a bunch of people ukulele. He really enjoys working with kids and things like that. And so, yeah, for me, I always, I've always been more the type to kind of travel and perform and things like that. And we do things together, on occasion. We actually tour together in Japan a lot. We do a lot of shows there. So that's always fun. He's, my brother is quite a character. he's a real comedian in the family. So, so we have a great time. But, gosh, other than that, I don't know what else to tell you. My last name, Shimabukuro, is, it's actually, of course, it's a Japanese last name. More specifically, it's an Okinawan last name. I'm a quarter Okinawan, and on my father's side, and then on my mom's side, they're from a city called Fukushima in Japan. It's very, very countryside of Japan. Very different from Tokyo. But, I go to Japan maybe about 4 or 5 times a year. And, I go there to do concerts and I love it, because I appreciate the culture. I love the food. I'm a big fan of sushi and, all sorts of Japanese food. Like to, every time I go to Japan, I always end up going shopping because they have, all their whole electronics thing is just unbelievable. Their digital cameras, things like that. But I don't know, these digital cameras now, they're getting so tiny,
Yeah.
I lose them all the time. So every time I go back to Japan, I feel like I'm buying a new camera or something. But yeah, it's great. And, but I really enjoy spending time there. It's a wonderful place. So we spend about maybe 3 months out of the year in Japan, and then another maybe 4 to 5 months, here in the States, just touring, and then we'll also do like a string of dates in Australia. We do a few festivals in Canada. And then I've had some opportunities touring with Jimmy Buffett to play in places like Singapore and the Caribbean, places like that. It's wonderful. I mean, the experiences, just the experience of just to travel, I think is. It's been such a wonderful educational experience for me.
Do you have a favorite place that you have visited?
I don't know. I kind of like, I always have a good time, wherever we're touring. But, unfortunately, even though I'm traveling and touring to all these different places, most of the time, I just see the airport, the concert venue, and the hotel.
Right.
And that's it, because we're just like flying in and flying out, and we're always, every night, you're sleeping in a different bed, in a different hotel. You're in a new city, and it's really it's strange, because I sometimes you see commercials, you'll watch like commercials about this, like where the band gets up on stage and they're like, hello, San Francisco. And then the guy's like, oh, we're not in San Francisco,
Yeah.
But, and it's just funny, but that actually happens. I mean, I used to think like, how can you not know where you are, right? But sometimes, you'll get up in the morning and you just be like, wait, what time zone am I in? Or wait, what city am I in? I can't remember, It's a strange feeling, and sometimes you wake up in the middle of the night, and it's dark in your room, and then you have absolutely no idea where you are. Like you can't even visualize where the entrance to the room is, or where the restroom is, and you kind of have to just, you kind of just have to, I don't know, just sit there and try to rethink, where you are, or turn on the lights or something. You'd be like, oh yeah, okay, now I know where I am. But it's a strange feeling. I mean, I'm getting used to it, and I have a very supportive, family. My parents are very supportive. My brother, and they're all very proud of what I do. So that helps a lot.
You've been performing with Jimmy Buffett quite a bit lately, and I'm sure you've had some amazing experiences there. And I was hoping you could maybe share one that sticks out in your mind.
Oh man, there's so many. I mean, when the first time he invited me out on one of his tours. I mean, I was just. I mean, still today, I've been touring with him for about 2.5 years now, and I get so nervous running out on stage with him because, his audiences are huge. He has like 30, 40, 50,000 people out there, screaming and yelling and just having a great time. And for me, it's crazy being in front of that many people. But gosh, let's see. Trying to recall one of my, I mean, there's so many great moments, There was one, the first year I toured with him, he would have me open up the show playing the national anthem. And that was so scary. I mean, of course, just being in front of that many people is scary, and then playing the national anthem in front of that many people on an ukulele is very intimidating, very intense, and but he knew that, because everyone knew the whole, all the core reefer band. I kept telling them, oh my gosh, I'm so nervous. I can't go out there. I mean, my knees would be shaking. I'd be so nervous backstage. And I remember going out there, the first few shows, there were about like 20, 30,000 people in the audience, and Jimmy would come up to me and he'd say, Jake, don't worry, just go out there, and just play, just ignore the audience, just look, just ignore the audience, you don't have to worry, and just look straight at those guys and play to them, right? So I'd be like, okay, all right, so I'd go out there and I'd play. But then we did this one show. It was in Pittsburgh. It was a Pirate Stadium, and I think there were like 45,000 people in the audience, and that was just insane. That was the biggest show that I had done, with them so far, because this was like maybe the 4th or 5th show into the tour. And I remember, right before I was about to go out and do the national anthem, Jimmy Buffett came to my room, and he came by and he was like, Jake, I don't advise you, looking out into the audience today. And that was
good
just
advice.
Kind of it was scary, man. As soon as I stepped foot on that stage, man, he was right. I mean, you just so many people, and the roar from the audience is so intense. We have these in-ear monitors that we play at that, kind of it's custom fitted, for your ear canal. So it blocks out all the sound, and then you can hear, you can control the level of music, and you can adjust your own mix of all the players in the band, so you can hear what you're playing and what everyone else is playing. But the roar from the audience is so intense that it resonates in your chest. Once they start cheering, it starts resonating in your chest, and there are moments where, even though you have the in-ear monitors, the roar from the audience is so loud that it almost buries the music. So you really have to. So then you start cranking up your in-ear monitors, but that is an experience, man. It's such a rush.
I can only imagine. Since you started performing with Jimmy Buffett, we'll wrap it up.
Oh, no. I just wanted to make sure because.
Okay.
He has a.
Since you started performing with Jimmy Buffett and the Coral Reefer Band, is there any of the Coral Reefers who you have learned the most from as a musician?
Oh, I mean, all of them. They're all so great. Of course, Mac McAnally. Just an amazing songwriter, just an amazing musician. Everything he does is so great, and we have. And that's one of the things that I enjoy most is being able to just hang out with all these musicians, Mac McAnally, Peter Mayer, wonderful guitar player. I'm always asking him about, his guitar techniques and things like that. Ralph McDonald, who I've been a huge fan of for many, many years. Jim Mayer, everybody, every single person in that band is so great at what they do. Robert Greenwich, he's man, that guy, it's incredible, what he creates, with the steel drums. I've never heard any music like that come out of, those instruments, come out of that instrument before. But it's not just the band, of course, I learned so much from them. I'm always asking them questions about, different rhythms and playing certain changes or how they go about, their, how they voice certain chords, in the song. And they're always so open to just sharing, ideas with me. But also the crew, talking with the guitar techs and like the tour managers, all the production guys, they are all the best at what they do, and you learn so much from them, just hearing the stories of people that they've worked with in the past, and just their experiences. I learned so much, from them, and I think that's one of the, that's something that I truly value, being out on the road with Jimmy Buffett. Of course, I love the music and the shows and all that, but it's really the opportunity to spend time with these people who are just, monsters in the music industry, and to be able to actually, sit there and eat with them, or, rehearse with them, or just have the opportunity to ask them questions, or even to look at them as a friend, to be in that kind of, to have that kind of friendship with them, where you actually bond and you're doing something that you love, together. That is, I cherish that more than anything else.
It really is an amazing band, both as people, but musically also.
Oh, yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah. Yes.
On the last two albums, the EP, My Life, it's 6 I think very well picked out covers. And it's kind of like your other album, Gently Weeps, in that for the most part, it's just solo uke. Mm-hmm. Was that a conscious decision to go in that direction with your music?
Well, actually, the Gently Weeps album was produced by Mac McAnally. And while I was touring with Jimmy Buffett, Mac was the one who really pushed me and said, Jake, you gotta do a solo ukulele album, And at the time, I was so afraid to do that, because that was a huge step for me, because I when you're playing a song and it's just you and no one else, it's pretty scary, it's a scary thing, like when you don't have a rhythm section with you, or you don't have other musicians up there, filling up the gaps or the holes in the music. He said that, he said that he really thought I should do that, because it'll give people a better idea of what I'm actually doing on my instrument, if I did a solo ukulele album. So I thought, okay, he convinced me to do it, and I told him, well, if I do it, can I work with you? Can you produce an album? and he was like, oh yeah, sure, I'd love to do it, and just the opportunity to work with Mac in the studio, that was, that whole experience. I mean, it was the best experience that I've had in the recording studio. Was with him. I felt so relaxed and so comfortable, and just having him there, guiding me and sharing with me his ideas and his recording techniques was just unbelievable. But that experience, and then which led to the next the EP, which was the My Life EP. That one, because of my experience with the Gently Weeps album, I kind of the EP that I did after that, I kind of did more solo ukulele arrangements, just because I was getting a little bit more comfortable.
Do you have a preference? Because like on the soundtrack, you bring back the full band kind of sound.
Yeah, it depends.
Okay.
It really depends. I like doing both. I like performing solo, but then I also love playing with the rhythm section and love collaborating with other musicians. So I think the important thing for me is just having a good balance, and that's why it's great. I get to do these shows with Jimmy Buffett and the Coral Reefer Band, but then at the same time, in between, some of those shows, I get to do my own solo shows. And then I get to jump on tours with other bands as well, or sometimes I'll do these music festivals, and then I get to sit in with other bands, or do my own thing, or do these little workshops, and that's what makes it fun. I like the variety, And then recently I've been collaborating with a lot of doing things with orchestra, with full orchestra, and that's a whole different kind of experience.
So, my final question, this broadcast is going out all over the world. What would you like to say to all the folks listening in?
I guess I just want to say, keep supporting live music, and come to Hawaii.
Well, sir, I really appreciate the time and the thoroughness in which you answered all these questions. I really appreciate you making the time to talk to me.
Oh, no, thank you. Thank you for your time.
My pleasure. Do you have time to send us on our way with the classic from the Beatles, In My Life?
This is off my latest, that EP that we were talking about.
Thank you so much, Jake.
Thank you.
Thank you for stopping by today. If you enjoyed our program, consider telling a friend about it. The Paul Leslie Hour is made possible through people just like you. So you want to keep the show going, right? Go to thepaulleslie.com. That's thepaulleslie.com. Click on Support the Show. And thanks to everyone who contributes. Performance of the intro music is courtesy of John Primorano, The Entertainer, written by Scott Joplin. End credit theme music is courtesy of John Primorano, the traditional song Corina Corina. Your announcer is Dan Gold. Hey, that's me. The show is hosted and produced by Paul Leslie. And we'll see you next time on the Paul Leslie Hour.